let's get something straight. Force isn't what you think it is. It's not gravity, even though gravity holds planets in orbit and keeps your feet on the ground. It's not electricity, even though electricity powers your brain, your phone, and the cities you live in. It's not magnetism, even though it pulls compass needles north and somehow makes two people feel connected across a room. Those things are real, yes. Powerful, yes. But they're just surface-level forces. They're effects, not causes. The real force behind all of them. Will. Not wishful thinking. Not momentary desire. We're talking about will as the raw power behind reality. The decision that shapes outcomes. The silent push that turns potential into actual. It doesn't shout, but it moves everything. Dr. Emerson wasn't being poetic. When he said will is the real force behind all others, he meant it literally. Because when you peel back all the layers, science, energy, emotion, you'll find something deeper. A mind directing it. A will choosing it. Every action begins with intention. Think of an alchemist, not in fairy tales, but as a symbol. The one who takes base metal and turns it into gold. That transformation doesn't start in the lab. It starts in the mind. The vision, the decision, the will. That's where mentalism comes in. Mentalism says that everything begins with the mind. The universe, your circumstances, your emotions, everything. But not just any mind. Not just random thoughts floating around. It's will-directed thought. Focused, deliberate, forceful, that creates change. Thought is the vehicle. Will is the driver. Here's the catch. If you think your thoughts alone are enough, without will, you'll just drift. If you think raw energy or ambition alone is enough, without conscious thought, you'll crash. It's the combination that changes things. Will plus mind equals real power. This isn't spiritual fluff. Look around. That athlete who keeps showing up to train, even when no one's watching, that's will. That entrepreneur who got rejected 100 times before succeeding, will. That person who walked away from comfort to chase a vision everyone else laughed at. That's will fused with thought. And that's mentalism in motion. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's the focus. It's force. It's cause. And the truth is, you're using it all the time, whether you realize it or not. The only question is, are you using will on purpose, or are you being shaped by someone else's? Let's break something down that most people never even consider. Mentalism is not just an idea. It's a force. It's subtle. You won't see it like you see a flame or a storm. But it's powerful enough to shape lives, nations, and history itself. Try measuring it? You can't. Not fully. You'd need more time than any of us are given in this earth. Because its reach is infinite. Mentalism sits behind everything we call intelligence, every breakthrough in science, every work of art, every act of creation, every social shift or mechanical invention. It's the invisible engine behind all progress. It's the axis around which consciousness turns, the law that stands behind all other laws. Think about your life, your joy or suffering, your health or illness, your success or failure. They don't just happen. They're not random. They're shaped by mentalism in action. yours and that of others around you. It's always working, whether you believe in it or not. And at the very core of this unseen force, will. Not wishful thinking, not vague motivation. We're talking about will as a living power. It's the spark that tells your mind to act. It's what pulls thought from silence and gives it form. Every intention you've ever had, every goal, decision, creation, it all begins with will. Imagine a sculptor. His hands shape the stone. But first, his mind shapes the image. And before even that, his will chooses to create. That's how it works. Will shapes mind. Mind shapes reality. So no, mentalism isn't just abstract theory. It's not about daydreaming your way to a better life. It's about understanding how reality actually works and learning to direct it from the source. To use mentalism is not to run from the world. It's to engage it from the top down, not to be swept away by life's chaos, but to command the current, to steer your reality instead of being tossed around by it. And here's the truth that most ignore. When this life ends, when the body is gone, the mind and its will don't just vanish. The subtle never dies. The power behind the visible continues in the invisible. This is what the ancient teachings mean when they say, the first law is mind. The first motion of mind is will. To truly know that, that's where the real work begins. Not everyone has a strong will. A few do, many don't, and it makes all the difference. Some people are born with strong inner drive. Others develop it through discipline and experience, but the majority never tap into it at all, and it shows. Because a strong will doesn't just help you focus or stay motivated. It projects. It amplifies your presence. It carries your thoughts far beyond your immediate environment. This is one of the real unspoken reasons why some people rise to success, influence, and recognition, while others remain stuck, unnoticed, despite talent or effort. The truth? It's not always the most skilled or deserving who succeed. It's often the ones whose will is powerful enough to send their ideas into the minds of others, clearly, consistently, and with impact. Think of the artist everyone suddenly talks about, the speaker who moves rooms, the writer whose book seems to be everywhere. Yes, they're good at what they do, but more importantly, they've learned, consciously or not, how to charge their thoughts with intention and send those thoughts outward like waves. Their will becomes magnetic. People aren't just responding to their work, they're responding to the force behind it. That focused energy resonates. It spreads. It sticks. This is mentalism in action. And it goes even deeper. When someone like that gains attention, it creates a loop. The more people focus on them, the stronger their presence becomes. Thousands of minds lock onto one figure, reinforcing their image, sharing their work, shaping reality in their favor. But here's the catch. The moment they stop using their will, when they get complacent or let ego replace effort, the current fades, slowly at first, then suddenly. And while they're basking in yesterday's praise, someone else is rising, someone whose will is sharp, whose mind is clear, and who's putting that energy to work. The spotlight shifts, the old idol fades, the new name takes over. You've seen it happen in music, in politics, on social media, in business. One day they're everywhere. The next, they're gone. Because this isn't just about talent, it's about force. The public doesn't even realize what's pulling them. They think it's charisma, timing, or trend. But it's not. It's will. Projected, focused, commanded. And those who don't understand this, who don't cultivate their own will, end up being swept along by others. They become background characters in a story written by someone else. This is the silent truth behind all influence. The mind that sends forth its force will rule the minds that do not. Let's start with something simple. Without thought, there is no intelligence. Thinking is not optional. It's the foundation of awareness. Thought is what moves intelligence. It's the silent current that powers every conscious action. And it's not just humans. Anyone who spent time with animals knows this. Dogs, horses, even wild creatures. They may not speak our language, but they know, they feel, they decide. That's thinking, just expressed in a different way. We've been taught that speech is the highest form of communication. But here's the truth. Speech is crude compared to the mind. Words can be misunderstood. They can be twisted. They can lie. But pure thought, when focused and projected, is clear. It cuts through noise. It's felt, not just heard. Real communication doesn't come through sound. It comes through transmission. Thought is a wave, a vibration. It moves faster than light and deeper than language. And when it's charged with will, it doesn't need words. It reaches people directly, especially those who are tuned in, even if they don't consciously realize it. We see this all the time, especially with the ones who can't speak. Take a baby, for example. They don't know a single word, but they can read you like a book. Your calm, your anxiety, your love, your stress. They feel all of it, not because they understand language, but because their mind isn't cluttered yet. They receive thought in its raw form. The same goes for dogs, horses, and other emotionally intelligent animals. Say the same command in two different tones, one calm, one angry. They'll respond completely differently. Why? Because they're not reacting to the words. They're responding to your energy, your intention, your state. They feel what you feel before you even say it. That's not magic. That's not guessing. That's thought transmission, mentalism at work. And here's where it gets powerful. Those who really understand this, who train their mind to project thought clearly and intentionally, they don't just communicate. They influence. They speak less. They listen more. Not just with their ears, but with their mind. They send messages without saying a word. They become felt, not just heard. It's the same principle behind music that moves you without lyrics, or a presence that shifts the energy in a room without speaking. And just like how one tuning fork can cause another to vibrate from across the room, a strong thought can activate a similar thought in someone else, even without words. This isn't a metaphor. It's a real, repeatable principle. Those who master it, they don't beg for attention. They command resonance. Man doesn't dominate the world through physical power. He dominates through mind. Most people go through life completely unaware of what's actually shaping them. They think they're making their own choices, but in reality, they're reacting constantly to media, to trends, to emotions that aren't even their own. They consume thoughts that were never theirs to begin with, and then wonder why their life feels out of alignment. You don't have to believe in thought forms or energy waves to know this is true. Ever walked into a room and felt the tension before anyone said a word? Ever caught someone else's anxiety, like it jumped from them to you? That's not coincidence. That's influence. And it happens every single day to most people without them realizing it. This is what it means to be shaped by the mental field around you. You absorb fear, insecurity, distraction, and noise because you've never been taught to shield your mind, let alone direct it. So you drift, you scroll, you compare, you copy, you chase validation, and slowly you become a reflection of everything outside you, while the truth inside you stays buried. But here's the shift. It doesn't have to stay that way. The moment you understand how mentalism works, that thought is a force, and will can direct it. You stop being a sponge, and you become a sender. You stop absorbing the world, and you start influencing it. You begin to notice the thoughts that aren't yours. You pause before reacting. You reclaim the space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you make your move. This is where real power begins, not with domination, but with direction. Not with control over others, but with control over yourself. Because once you learn to shape your inner world, the outer world starts to follow. You're no longer a passenger in someone else's reality. You're the one writing the map. Most people don't realize the impact of their own thinking. They treat thoughts like private, harmless things, fleeting, forgettable. But they're not. Every thought you entertain, especially the ones charged with emotion, has weight. It doesn't just stay locked inside your head. It radiates, it spreads, it enters the mental atmosphere we all share. Anger, envy, fear, judgment. When you dwell in those states, you're not just affecting yourself. You're adding fuel to a collective fire. You're contributing to the noise, the confusion, the heaviness others feel, but can't always explain. This isn't just about positive thinking. It's about energetic responsibility, because the truth is simple. We all live inside the energy we help create. Few people truly grasp this. Even fewer take it seriously. But those who do, those who understand that every thought is a broadcast, not just a background process, start to think differently. They become more deliberate, more aware, not just for their own peace of mind, but because they know they're shaping something bigger. So before you let a bitter thought take root, before you feed resentment, spread fear, or give voice to doubt, ask yourself, is this something I want more of in the world? Because once a thought leaves your mind, it doesn't just disappear. And this is where the shift happens. When you develop a strong will and combine it with a real understanding of mentalism, you gain something rare. Power. Not loud, flashy power, but power over your inner world. Power to shape your direction, your energy, your outcomes. And that kind of power doesn't stay contained. It radiates. Your thoughts begin to ripple outward. They influence conversations, decisions, environments, even people you'll never meet. You become a silent force, subtle but undeniable. But here's the part most forget. With that power comes responsibility. Because once you know that thought shapes reality, once you truly understand that the mind is a force field, not a closed loop, you can't pretend you don't know. You're no longer just responsible for your own life. You're responsible for what your thoughts contribute to the world around you. So ask yourself, do you project fear, anger, and judgment? Or do you project clarity, strength, and purpose? Your influence is real, even when invisible. And the more you awaken, the more carefully you must walk. Not in fear, but in intention. Because here's the truth. Your mind isn't a prison, it's a throne. And your will, that's the scepter. Once you realize that, you stop waiting for life to happen to you. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop drifting. You start building, shaping, creating on purpose. Because when you learn to govern your inner silence, when you choose what lives in your mind and what leaves your lips, you begin to govern life itself. This is the path we walk at Arcane Praxis, where hidden laws are brought into light, where inner power isn't just talked about, it's trained, embodied, and lived.